Hi, everybody. It's Doc's Daily. It's Thursday show, February 27, 2024. Yes, one more day after today in February, and we have the March Madness for real.
Madness.
And hey, it only's fitting that we have Robert Ferrigno on today and tomorrow to finish up February and set up what is the king of college basketball. We're gonna have a huge March. And if last night was like the beginning of the madness with the three-quarters or half court, in between the three-quarter half court shot of beating Maryland. That Michigan State was, I mean, what a game. You know, Michigan State kind of dominated. Maryland came back, and then they hit that. So that's the things to come that we're going to see here in conference tournament time, which is we're a week away, right, Robert?
First conference tournament action starts Sunday, and then the OVC, the Ohio Valley, starts on the 4th. So that's what, Wednesday?
Yeah, so like
the week
less
following
than a week.
that, like the Ohio Valley and the Missouri Valley are kind of the first two of the usual betting conferences. I think it's the Atlantic Sun starts Sunday. So we're getting to it.
It'll be here before you know it. Most of the big colleges still have 4 games left. Some have 3, depending on the conference. So it's that time of year. You got to be careful. We'll talk about that when we get to college basketball because, of course, you got some senior nights coming up. So that's an interesting, always betting angle. But before I get to it, take care of housekeeping. Don't forget, get that free $60 account for new customers. People always say, how do you check me out? I've been here 2 months at Docs. These guys have been here much longer, of course. Robert is the OG when it comes to as far as us 4. And it's very simple. You can get any capper you want. If you're new, go to this docsports.com/free60. They'll load up a $60 account. It's $30 per sport per day. So you can check out one of your favorite cappers and get 2 sports. Or you can even use that towards like a week pass. If you want to get the NBA pass, that's $99 per sport per week to get in on all the plays for one specific sport. You can just throw in $39 and you'll get that as well. Of course, if you're an existing customer, you don't need that. You just go to the grid. You know how to get in and get in on your favorite cappers. Griffin, do we have any big plays today for you today? I know we were talking about potentially, depending where the lines came out.
Yes, sir. We absolutely do. We're finally on. I've been talking all week about getting ready to unload the tank. Yesterday, my play was going to be on the Indiana Pacers. I just didn't love the way the line jumped out at 10.5. Finally, today, I got my match. I have unloaded the tank. I have a 7-unit best bet. That play goes off at 9 p.m. Eastern time on the NBA side of things. I have a 2-pack in college basketball, and I have a single 4-unit best bet when it comes to the ice. And that is my slate for today, Craig.
All right, Nick. How did we do yesterday, and what do you have today? Anything big?
Yeah, cash in our premium NBA 7-unit best bet there on Portland. Man, was it a sweat, though. The Wizards were playing really good at home, but finally they beat them by 8 in that game. So 1 on Portland tonight. I have a massive card in the NHL. I got 2 plays here, a 7-unit best bet, and then a dog 3 units. So check it out. We got a big slate on the ice here tonight, Craig.
Greg, you're
there
muted.
We go. Sorry, the 4 Nations is over and hockey's back and loaded. So excited to get back at it. Some big plays I see coming up. Robert, I know, your action is legendary. I mean, I can't even write up 10 plays I like, but you know all the angles when it comes to college basketball. Do you have anything big tonight?
No, there's a game that I'm going to talk about that I feel like at the end of the night, I'm going to wish that I had a big play on, but I had 7-unit plays on Tuesday and Wednesday. I hit my 8-unit NHL game of the year last night. So I'm emotionally exhausted right now from last night.
Who'd you have, Colorado last night? Or
I had Colorado. I just kind of unearthed a little nugget that I hadn't been playing, but their record over the last 5 years after a road trip or 3 games or more in their first home game, I think they're 34-10, something like that. So, and they were coming off a bad loss. I don't trust New Jersey. So I don't have a lot of big plays in the NHL. I'm not a huge NHL guy, but that was one where I saw it and just didn't hesitate. It was like, okay, boom, first 8-unit play. Let's go for it.
Nice. And then tonight, but I'm sure you have several college basketball smaller plays.
2 teasers and 1 play from the American. Smaller night, we've kind of talked about this before, and we'll talk about it more in the college end, but you got to pay the tax on Thursday, right? Yeah. If you like favorites, all those numbers are juiced an extra 2 or 3 points because it's from all the small conferences. So there just wasn't as much value as I would have liked.
Yep. All right, so I've got a 6-unit play in the NBA. We look to stay hot. Been hot the last 6-7 weeks, and I got a 5-unit play in college hoops. So only have 3 plays overall, player prop as well. So like you said, today was kind of a weird card. I kind of like the NHL. There were several, and hopefully we'll have time to talk about the NHL today because I got some free plays for you. They just didn't quite meet that, threshold for me to get in there, because in NHL I'm like 4 plays a week, 3 plays a week, something like that. It didn't quite meet the threshold, but we'll get to that come NBA. But don't forget, like and subscribe. Make sure you stay in. We've got a ton of content going on. If you like premium content, you can get in on Indian Cowboys. $20 gets you. He's giving out all kinds of exclusive stuff, so make sure you join in. And even if you want to get in on that, and if you like and subscribe, you get all the free content as well. So, all right, let's get right to it. Let's talk about NBA. Let's go around clockwise here. Griffin, you kick us off here. NBA, not the biggest card tonight, but several games I like. I hope you like 1-2 for us.
Yeah, Craig, absolutely. I'm rolling into this Denver Nuggets at Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks are getting 3.5 points in this game. We have a total sitting at 240.5. That total is extremely high. That automatically brings me to an incentive. We're going to see a high-scoring game in this matchup. Milwaukee, they're playing good basketball right now, but not stout. But they're brutal on the road, absolutely brutal. But when they come back home, they're an absolute dominant 19-9 at home, and they're coming off a loss. Denver, on the other hand, 9-1 in their last 10 games, absolutely mowing everybody down. Not only does Denver play good at home, but they play good on the road. This automatically flips me into an incentive trap bet. I would have liked to see this line more 5.5, maybe even 6 with Milwaukee at home. I know that number sounds crazy, but the way Denver's been playing as of late, that should have been the number. When this line was released at just plus 3.5, I said, okay, immediate trap bet, obvious mismatch on the court tonight. Give me the Milwaukee Bucks here tonight, Craig. I'm taking the 3.5 points for insurance, but I would not be surprised by any means if Milwaukee takes this game outright, Craig.
Well, you know what I say? I always say this is like the kahunas bet. You're running like, your balls dropping on the table because, like you said, the Denver Nuggets have been playing great basketball. And Milwaukee, without Portis, have that depth. They didn't have the most depth anyway. And then, of course, that I still don't understand this whole I take the wrong prescription and it's a banned substance, so now I'm out. And the NBA knows it, but they still suspend you. I mean, don't get me started on that. But they don't have a lot of depth. And Denver kind of, plays a little up and down. So I think this is I think you're either going to be right. This is a play. Here's what I would say. If you like this one, you take the Milwaukee Bucks money line, because I don't think they just cover lose by 1 or 2. I think either Denver runs them off the court and wins in a blowout, or Milwaukee wins outright. So if you're right, you're going to get paid for that with the plus number. So good pick there. All right, Nick, why don't you take us to the next NBA free pick?
Let's do it. We got Golden State -5 here, going to Orlando to play the Magic. Total right now sitting at 211.5. That's a little low in my eyes. While the Warriors here, they're on a 4-game winning streak, but they only play 500 basketball here on the road this season, 14-14 this season on the road. The Magic play their best basketball here at home, 18 wins on the season, but they're coming off an absolute blowout loss at home to the Cleveland Cavaliers by almost 40 points in that one. Just something seems real fishy to me with this line. I think the Golden State Warriors should be -8. So I think there's a little trap in this one. I would go with the Orlando Magic plus the 5 here over Golden State Warriors at home. I think it's a bounce back game for this offense. They only scored, I believe it was 82 points in that game against the Cavaliers. I think they have a bounce back game offensively here. Take Orlando Magic 5 over the Golden State Warriors, Craig.
Greg?
Ooh, the Knicks play. I'm going to jump in there because I actually have my rated play on in this game, and
Warriors game?
That's all I'm going to say to Knicks.
Trap.
More time, baby.
Trap.
All right, Craig.
All right, what's this? What do you got here, Raymond? If you like a horse, put it in the comments. What you like? Everybody share.
Yeah, don't be stingy.
Just drop it in the comments. We'll put it on the screen for everybody to have, and then we'll give you a shout out when they win come Monday. So, Robert, why don't you kick us off here? I think you're on the wrong side. That's all I'm going to say on that one, Nick. But we'll talk about that.
Yeah,
let's do it.
That's what I like. That's what I like there, Craigie. All right, I'm looking at the Minnesota and the Lakers game. I know the Lakers are getting a ton of love right now. Like everybody's on the bandwagon, but I think that's going to create a little bit of value over these next few weeks. on the other side. Like, I'm just as giggly about Luka and LeBron and their little brotherly love fest. It's so adorable. But you always have to pay a tax when you want to bet the Lakers anyway. And now that they have the two superstars, I mean, look, they're just 3-3 against the spread in their last 6 games. You know, it was a little bit of a red flag to me on Monday that they did not dominate Dallas, right? Like, you knew what a big game that was for Luka going back against his old mates. They're at home, big spread, that the money pushed that line from 8 to 9. So the majority of people that bet that game and anybody that bet it in the afternoon lost. So I'm just not buying the Lakers as like an all of a sudden juggernaut. I think that they're still a little bit of a flawed team. And I like Minnesota, man. If they're good enough to beat Oklahoma City, you know, on the road, and they've beaten them twice recently, like, Minnesota can play. So I thought this number would have been solid around 4. 6 is just too many points. The Timberwolves have won 3 out of the last 4 when these two teams have played. And this just kind of fits into my theory that I'm going to play over these next few weeks, where I think there's going to be more value betting against the Lakers than there is going to be on them. And after coming off such an emotional win on Monday, I think this one's going to be a battle.
I like that play. I like Minnesota. I almost made it my top play today because, like you said, they played 2 in a row against Oklahoma City. Now, as long as you don't have a letdown, because anytime you win 2 big games like that, maybe it's let down. But I don't think you have a letdown. You're playing LeBron and Luka. And Anthony Edwards is that kind of dude. He kind of has that Kobe mentality a little bit, where it's always like, I want to go after the best of the best. And I think he's going to do that. It's not like LeBron and Luka are good defenders. So it's not like the Lakers all of a sudden are going to be a good defensive team. They're actually going to probably be a pretty poor defensive team now without Anthony Davis. So I think this is a high-scoring game, and I think the Timberwolves could get the cover. I like that play. Here, Raymond, he likes his Stone Cold fave and hope races that may get 6-5. So,
talking about ponies?
Yeah, that's ponies, he says. All right, so I like a little free play. I like the Pelicans tonight. Like they've had 2 little wins. And, this is a team, we've talked about it here with the other 2 amigos here this week about this team. And this is a team that has a lot of talent. And if they could just turn talent into not getting hurt, I think this would be a different New Orleans Pelicans team, especially with Zion. But I think the Suns are just an overbet team. Everybody thinks because they have Booker and they have Durant and Bradley Beal that this 3 was they have done nothing since coming together. They're the most disappointing team in basketball outside of the Philadelphia 76ers. But at least the 76ers, you could say, were injured. There's really no injury concerns with the Suns. They're just not a good team. It's not a secret. They're going to be trading Durant in the offseason, or at least going to try to. So, like, to me, I just don't see the Suns. What's their motivation? There's no hope for them to make a run this year. Give me the Pelicans plus. I see a 7.5. I think they could win outright in this one. So I would sprinkle on the money line. I just think New Orleans is as good, if not as talented as the Suns, and the Suns aren't playing with much motivation lately. Okay, let's move to college basketball, and then we can always revisit back to the NBA if need be, if anybody has questions. So if you have questions and you're watching, you can always leave it live, and we'll bring it up on the screen, try to answer it. If it's after the fact, you can put it in the comments as well. We do try to stay up on the comments. So make sure you put in the comments if you have questions, or if you just like a play, put it in the comments section. Okay, let's talk college hoops, and let's go the opposite way. Let's start with the king of college basketball, Robert Ferrigno. Maybe we need to get him a crown.
Yeah, we got to get him a crown. I was just
our producer might be able to
you know how it is. Just getting lucky.
Put the overlay.
You got to give Raymond a cowboy hat too.
A pink one, only if it's a pink cowboy hat.
All right.
Okay,
all right, so Robert, give us something.
This play is actually the one that I feel like I'm gonna wish that I'd gone bigger on, and it's UAB and Wichita State. Okay, I like Wichita State at home in this game. UAB, they're in second place in the American. They're kind of been cruising. They're 11-3 in conference play. Bit of a red flag that they opened as an underdog here to a Wichita State team that's only 500 in league play. But for me, this play is all about Wichita State. That's a tough place to play. And UAB, this is completely unfamiliar territory. They haven't played out there since 2011. That really can be a tough venue for teams to come in and try and get a road win. Great home crowd support. And, I don't know if it was on this show or in my write-ups. I was talking about this a few weeks ago, that Paul Mills, the Wichita State coach, I was like, that guy is fired. I hope he is looking for a new job. He was not going to survive this year. All of a sudden, Wichita State's won 6 straight games. They're playing better without Justin Hill, the transfer point guard. I think he was just a little bit too ball dominant for that team. So they're sharing the ball and they're getting better shots now. And this is the best that they've played all year. They beat Memphis at home. And finally, like UAB doesn't play any defense. They're not a good defensive team. Like they're 8-2 in their last 10 games because they've been playing the dregs of the American. They're allowing almost 80 points a game. And I don't trust teams that don't defend to go on the road and win. Like winning on the road in conference play, in tough venues takes a sort of mental toughness. And that kind of goes hand in hand with good defensive teams, right? So the money is all coming in on UAB. This line is going towards UAB. I wouldn't be surprised if they're favored by a point. So if you like Wichita State, maybe hold off and bet this one right before game time. But I think Wichita State is going to find a way. It's not going to be a blowout, but I can see them winning this game by like 5, 7, 8 points. But I really like them tonight.
Yeah, I like them too. I almost made them my top play in college hoops. I had them last time out, I think it was, as one of my top plays. They're a team, like you said. They had that losing streak where they lost 4 in a row, but they lost a pretty good North Texas team, especially, like they can really defend. The first time they played Memphis, I know they beat them the second time, but the first time they played them, it was close too. So it's like all of a sudden you flip those 2 wins, and yeah, a team that's in the middle of the conference now would be close to the top of the conference. And like you said, UAB, I love Coach Kennedy. Like he was at UC when I was coaching some camps back in the day, 20 years ago with him. He's a super nice guy, but he doesn't play any defense. He was an offensive player. I don't know if anybody knows. He was a scorer when he played in college, and I think that has come through. But the defense has kind of been left aside. And like you said, that's tough to win. End of February, beginning of March, when teams all are playing for everything. You're scratching and clawing. Defense matters, and I almost always going to take the better defensive team, and that is clearly Wichita State in this matchup. So good pick, Robert. Let's go, Nick. How about you?
Yeah, let's do Western Kentucky versus UTEP here. UTEP minus 5.5. I know Western Kentucky's been inconsistent on the road. They're 3-8 this season. UTEP plays their best basketball at home. They got 11 wins on the season, but they're on a 3-game losing streak rolling into this one. While Western Kentucky is ranked currently 10th in pace of play in college basketball here. Pace of play leads 2 points in this game. I know that Western Kentucky has not been consistent, but you're giving me 5.5 points with a ranked number 10 team in pace of play against UTEP. I'm taking that all day here with Western Kentucky plus 5.5 over UTEP tonight, Craig.
Yeah, I have not been great in CUSA play this year. It used to be one of my better conferences because UC was in it for a little while, Cincinnati, where I'm from. And so I kind of got, you kind of get a handle where you can watch the teams more easily on TV. This year, I cannot get, this is like, throw one in the ocean a lot of times for this one. So I don't know. This could be an absolute win outright, or they could get blown out. I have no clue about Western Kentucky. I've watched them play several times, and whatever I pick, it's the opposite. So good, I don't have an opinion on this one.
Pick UTEP.
There you go. That's right. Follow the man.
Yeah, no, he says pick UTEP so he can win.
Exactly.
Griffin, why don't you tell us what you like free play here?
Yeah, Craig, it's Northern Kentucky getting 7.5 at Purdue Fort Wayne. We've got a total sitting at 150.5. We've talked about this on the show, this Northern Kentucky team. They're 14-15 on the season, but they are by no means a 14-15 team. They can drive down the lane. They have depth. They have big bodies, and they can shoot from the perimeter. They are a very solid team. The biggest issue with them is they fail to cover the spread over and over and over again, and it has become publicly known all over the map. I believe tonight, getting 7.5 points, the market showed them a little bit extra love. They got to cover one game. Purdue Fort Wayne, they're a very good basketball club. I want to say they're 19-10 on the season, and they do play very well. But I believe Northern Kentucky is going to make a stance tonight on the defensive side and shut them down and slow them up offensively. Give me Northern Kentucky here, plus 7.5. I think this line should have been more along the lines of 4.5, 5.5. I think the market is showing us some love just for the fact of Northern Kentucky has to cover a game because the public herd is all over fading Northern Kentucky and pounding whoever they're playing against. So in this one, Craig, give me the points with Northern Kentucky in this matchup at 7.5.
Remember, they played to start this year, January 1st they played, and it was Fort Wayne was a 2 or 3 point favorite. I can't remember. Maybe it's 2.5. And it went into overtime, and Northern Kentucky actually won outright. That kind of started Northern Kentucky starting to play a little better because before that, Northern Kentucky really had a tough start. Their first half of the season was really bad. they've played a little better lately. And now, granted, it's always like who you play. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you go 3-1, but you play the worst 4 teams in the conference, so maybe that doesn't mean as much.
They failed to cover against IU, Indiana, or Indy.
Yeah.
Give me a damn break.
Yeah, anyway. I do. Northern Kentucky, they're actually closer than Cincinnati and Xavier to me when I'm at my Cincinnati apartment. So you get a lot of news on Northern Kentucky. They really thought this team was going to have a chance to win the league this year.
They should have.
They thought they'd be the top 3 at worst. So, like, this has been a very disappointing type season. And, but, like, this is a conference that you get a hot. We've seen it. Teams like this type of team can win the conference tournament, and then you'll see them in the big dance. So this is an interesting conference.
Yeah, Robinson and Vincent, their top 2 players, they were starters on the team that went to the NCAA tournament 2 years ago. So these are guys that have tournament experience. They have won this division before. Like, I like this play, Griffin. Like, I was too much of a wuss to put it on my card. I used it in a teaser. Like, I teased them up to 12.5 because I'm with you. Like, they got to show it at some point. Like, it's one thing to have the talent, the experience. They should be better. We know we have kind of an undervalued team here, but I mean, they got to start cashing tickets. Like, we're kind of running out of time here. They have 2 regular season games and then the conference tournament. But to Craig's point, this is definitely a team that I'm going to be betting as an underdog in their conference tournament because, again, you got a bunch of seniors. This is it. Like, this is it. This is their last chance to get back to the dance. They're going to max out.
Yeah, and I did not check because I'm always this time of year. You really got to be careful because teams that are trying to avoid having to play on the opening day of the conference tournaments are like towards the bottom of the conference to really fight hard because it's like instead of having to play four games in 3 days or some of these conferences 4 games in 5 days they get a day off there. But either way, you don't have to if you can avoid a game and get a bye. That's a big deal. So I haven't checked, but Northern Kentucky might be fighting to stay out of that bottom game there.
Not just that, and I haven't checked on this either, but something for everyone to consider is that in some of these bigger like monster conferences like the Big Ten and the ACC, there are some teams that are going to miss the conference tournament. So kind of like you get in soccer where those teams are like staving off relegation late in the year and doing everything. Like we're going to have that. Some of the bottom feeders over the next 2 weeks are going to be really desperate, and how that's going to factor into like handicapping these teams and finding value. Do we stay away from them? Do we just fade these teams? But there are going to be some teams that seemingly have nothing to play for that have a lot to play for in these games because they're trying to get into the conference tournaments.
All right. So I've got a little gem for us. And, like at this time of the year, you have to look, what are you looking for? And I've made so much money fading Green Bay this year. I cannot believe my eyes. I really couldn't believe my eyes.
I'm on this track.
They're favored.
They're favored. They've won.
Baby.
They've won 3 times. Like, now, granted, Detroit's only won 8, but I'm taking Detroit here. It's a matter of principle, and I'm not even taking the points. I'm freaking like getting me some like juicy money line action. Doug Gottlieb,
loser.
I'm hoping he just says, you know what, this was a bad result. I'm going back to radio where like me being controversial pays. It pays because like people like to listen to the Colin Cowards and that people that are controversial. They just say controversial things. That's hard to do when you're a coach. You got to bring people together. You got to like it's one for all and all for one kind of thing. And that's just not him. I'm fading Green Bay. Anytime they're favored, give me the other side.
I agree. I do not want him to quit and go back to radio. I want him to get fired. I want it to be a humiliation. He deserves it. Like, it is a joke that he thinks he could take this job and continue to do radio every day. And I mean, the proof is in their record. So also teased this game as well. Give me teased that up. So
I was like, it's like when you're going down through the card.
Yeah.
And like that would not have been a game I would probably have picked if it was say Detroit -2 or 3. Probably wouldn't have picked it. But then I was like, what? I was like, Detroit's whole team come down with COVID and they're not.
I did the same thing. Craig, I love it. I did the exact same thing when I saw that line. I had the exact same thought. I was like, how the hell are they favored over anyone? Like, didn't they lose to a Division II school or a division? Like,
I think they lost twice to like some.
Right. Like, they're awful. They're awful.
Yeah.
I hope they
I mean, this is like a principal bet. Every once in a while, it's just like I'm not saying an auto bet, but it almost is an auto bet. If they were a small underdog, I was betting against them and they're getting killed too. It's like not like it's like, oh well, they're 3 and something.
Right, they're close.
They have 10 losses by 5 points.
Yeah.
No, they have like 10 losses by more than 20. And this is a league that is known for closer games because we talked, I think, me and Robert last week with the other two amigos were in, drinky. We were talking about how this conference, the top to bottom, the talent's not that big. It really comes down to end of the game, team play, and sometimes just hot shooting. So for this team to be that bad in this conference, that's something. All right. Do you have any other gems for us, Robert?
No, I was looking at the Vermont, New Jersey Institute of Technology line. You find that in the other games. I wanted this number around 6.5. Vermont, they are a team that burned me so much in November. This was a team that should have dominated the America East. They were obviously playing possum. They're playing their best ball now. They've won 6 in a row, won and covered 6 in a row. Of course, when I finally stopped betting them, that's when they start to play like the team that I expected them to be. But they're really good. They've gone, I think they've gone to 3 straight NCAA tournaments. And I think they brought 3 of their 5 starters back from last year's NCAA tournament team. And how you were talking about before about the motivation of some of these teams, the America East is one of those conferences where the tournaments are played on campus. So right now, Vermont is battling with Bryant to get that number 1 seed where they would be hosting all the games, including the conference championship game. So they are going to max out. They are not going to leave anything to chance. I think there's only 2 games left in the regular season. I mean, New Jersey Institute of Technology is exactly, their basketball team is exactly what you would expect the New Jersey
what it sounds like
technology to be. They're 2-16 against Division I teams in the last 18 games. Vermont should blow them out. But again, the reason it wasn't a rated play is because I've done this with Vermont all year, right? They're 9-point favorites. They're going to win this game by 6 points, a game that they should win by 20. So that was the other one that I was looking. We talked about some teasers. That line right there might be a good one to throw into a teaser with, Northern Kentucky or Detroit, like we talked about.
I tell you what, I'm just briefly go over. I tell you what, let's go to the NHL, and if we have time, we'll come back because I don't want to make sure we miss out on NHL because the NHL actually has a
get Menken in here for the NHL, man.
Really big card today. So Nick, we kick it off with you since you're our ice hockey guru. What do you like here as a free play?
Yeah, we cashed in actually on yesterday's show, plus 155 with the Vancouver Canucks, getting it done on the road. Let's get another dog here. We got the New York Islanders at Boston Bruins here. The total's sitting at 5.5. Both of these teams are coming in right now on a 4-game losing streak. Islanders just got blown out by the Rangers at home 5-1, where they play their best hockey. Now they have to go on the road here to Boston, where Boston plays their best hockey at home. 18 wins on the season. And in their last game against the Toronto Maple Leafs, they were up 3-0 in that game. They just could not finish that game there. I absolutely love the Boston Bruins tonight. Money line at odds of plus 100 here. I think it's a pick 'em now, but over the Islanders here tonight. I just see this Bruins team getting a win here at home, breaking their losing streak, and getting back on the winning column here tonight, Craig.
Yeah, the Bruins, this is they're the version of the 76ers. I kind of thought this Bruins team, maybe the most disappointing team in hockey, obviously. But, hockey's one of those weird sports that these teams go on these runs. Because you play so many players, it's not like, one player can absolutely carry you. So unless it's obviously a goalie, I kind of think the Bruins have some spunk left in them. They're going to kind of finish the year strong. And it seems like that's what happens, at least to me. Anytime I like a team and then you play them a bunch early, then you jump off of them and then they go on a run late.
So, of course.
All right. Griffin, you like anything here in the NHL? I know we got a big schedule today here.
Yeah, for sure, Craig. And I'm going to go into this game, and this line just absolutely blows my mind. You got Minnesota rolling into Utah to play Utah Hockey Club. Utah Hockey Club is currently minus 185 on the money line. I can't wrap my head around this line whatsoever. I'm aware that Minnesota does have a defender out tonight, which is a key component, but this has got to be the biggest trap game I've ever seen. Minnesota absolutely dominates on the road with a record of 21-7. Utah actually plays better on the road than they do at home. They're under 500 hockey playing at home with a record of 11-12. Minnesota, they're better on every single metric standpoint that you could look at, whether you go through offensive goals per game. I mean, you name it, whatever the case may be. Looking at this game right now, I mean, minus 185, This got Trapp written all over it. Give me Utah here on the puck line, plus value at a plus 145 line, Craig, in this matchup. I think Utah gets it done here tonight. I believe they put a beating on Minnesota, and that defense, on the defensive side, that is going to be the biggest take, and that is what the public is going to miss all over the boards. Everybody's going to be all over Minnesota in this game, plus value against Utah on the road with a 21-7 record. Give me a break. Give me Utah on the puck line, plus 145 in this one, Craig.
Like Minnesota's on my do not bet list now because they were up 2-0 as my top play 7-unit play today.
They killed us too.
They don't score the rest of the game. I mean, Detroit, a couple guys down, they allow them to win 3-2. So that one's tough. So I anytime I can bet it, I always say you either if you lose a bet with a team, you come back and be like, okay, they played terrible, I'm on them again. Or you're like, no bueno, they're on my do not bet list. I'm fading them
Red
for
X.
a couple weeks. And
I lost my 7-unit college basketball play last Saturday on Gonzaga. Automatically went with them against Santa Clara. Didn't like the game, didn't like the number, didn't like anything.
Hell with it.
Lose a big play on a team, I automatically bet them the next game every time.
And speaking of, we had said I think me and Robert, we were talking about that Gonzaga and St. Mary's team. I said St. Mary's going to win that conference. I think they're going to win the conference tournament. And I think this is I'm not saying a Final Four team, but I think they can, because defense, you don't have to play well if you have great defense. I think St. Mary's can make an Elite.
St. Mary's, gotcha.
St. Mary's, yep. I think they can make an Elite 8 run for sure, Sweet 16. So, and I'm not saying Gonzaga can't. This is not as good as a Gonzaga team that we've seen in the last couple of years. Last decade, let's say. That doesn't mean, because it doesn't mean you don't have to have the best team you ever had. Look at Tom Izzo. Sometimes he has a 9-10 seed, and all of a sudden they end up in the Final Four because they end up putting it all together. So that's why we love March Madness. All right, little housekeeping to finish up. Don't forget, like and subscribe. Don't forget, use that promo or the link, docsports.com/free60 to get you a free $60 account for all new customers. Of course, if you're an existing customer, go to the grid in the members area, log in, and get in on the top plays from either any of us or any of the other top handicappers. Robert, do we have anybody with a game 8-unit play today? I didn't.
Rafael Esparza has an 8-unit total of the year. He's a big college totals player. I think he's up 3,000 on the year with his totals. He was plus 8,800 last year with his totals. He called a shot on this one earlier in the week. He kind of knew what the number was going to be, and he didn't hesitate. So, 8-unit play from Rafael. But again, these two guys here, 7-unit play from Griffin Murphy in the NBA and 7-unit in the NHL from Menken. You guys have both been really hot with your top plays in those two specific sports. So let's keep it going, boys.
And if you don't know, Raphael's not a guy that's firing away 8-unit plays or 7-unit very often. 100%. So when he says it, it's he's going to have one of these a month every third month.
Him after this show, asking him who we weighed.
Put this. You're going to parlay that with your top player tonight. I know how you are. Okay, so make sure you check in tomorrow. We'll all four be back tomorrow. We'll have tons of college hoops plays. Don't forget, if you have a question or a game you like, put it in the comments section so everybody can share. If you have a question on a game that you want something from us, we'll try to get that. So make sure you put that in the comments as well. Even after the show, we will be checking in and out. So make sure. But we'll be back tomorrow, 1:00 Eastern Standard Time, with all of our 35 minutes plus of free picks. And tomorrow we're going to be talking not just Friday games for college hoops because there's not that big a card. We'll be talking some Saturday games because we'll have those lines, the advanced lines, come out. And there's some big matchups this weekend, including I think North Carolina Duke, right? It's Saturday, right? I think.
Yep. And I am going to have my college basketball game of the year on Saturday. I'm going to say anything more about it. It's going to be a big day. It's going to be a big day. It's going to be a big card. Big Saturday.
All right. I'm going to call the boss, and I'm going to try to get you guys a promo code. So make sure you stay tuned to tomorrow where you get a little, 10% off just for listening in with the promo code for tomorrow so you can get that 8-unit game of the year. All right, guys. Have a great day. May all your bets be winning ones, and we'll see you again tomorrow.